Peace in the chaos, as Roshni said in the beginning. Yeah, our lives have gotten so chaotic, so frantic. And what's interesting is when you look at marketing, you look at advertising, what you realize is now the best way to sell anyone anything is to promise them that it brings peace, to promise them that it brings happiness. It no longer matters what you're selling. Everything we sell through the vision of peace and happiness. You want to buy a car. Car commercials are driving on these beautiful highways into the sunset. You're the only car on the road. It's a beautiful evening. Maybe you have a beautiful spouse and very quiet children in the back seat. And we look at that commercial and we think, my God, every time I'm in my car, I'm so stressful. I'm so stressed. There's so much traffic. I long for that type of freedom. I long for my children to shut up for just a moment in the back seat. Maybe if I buy that car, well, so here we laugh, but the truth is that if it didn't work, they'd develop a different technique. The reason that advertising is a $1 billion, euro, pound business is it works on a very subtle level. We are craving peace so desperately that whatever people are trying to sell us, from shoes to clothes to cars to handbags to soap to anything, if they can put it in an environment that feels peaceful and joyful, or in which the people are peaceful and joyful, we too buy that product. So this is where we currently are, so desperate that we're now looking to our cars, our soap, our clothes, our everything to bring us peace. And yet, the unfortunate part, the bad news is, you can't actually buy it anywhere. You cannot download it. You cannot order it. Just before we came in, Dikshit Joshiji was telling us about a new type of augmented reality, right? We no longer can find what we're looking for here, so we're going to augment our reality. It's a step beyond virtual reality that puts you via glasses into any one of a whole variety of different places. But it doesn't matter what type of reality we're living in, what type of glasses we have, what the technology is. Cannot bring us peace. There is no app, no place, no item, no thing that will bring us peace. So that's the bad news. But the good news is that peace which we're looking for actually already resides within us. So the fact that we can't download it or buy it isn't such a tragedy. All we have to be able to do is look within and find it and realize that it is actually our truest nature, and that which is not true is the stuff that's keeping us from being in peace. So I want to begin with actually one of my very favorite demonstrations. So, Sona, will you raise your hand? Thank you. And Jeet, will you raise your hand? Okay, can everybody say hi? Everybody on this side of them, you are group 1. Everybody on this side, it means all of you here are group 2. All of you here are group 1. You can put it down. Thank you. Group 1, your job is to chant Om. So on the count of 3, I'm going to ask you all to practice. 1, 2, 3. Great. Group 2. Your job, forgetting for a moment that we are in a temple, forgetting for a moment that we're in a satsang, your job is actually to make as much noise. And I really do mean it. It's not a joke. I really mean it. Your job on the count of 3 is to make absolutely as much ruckus and noise as you possibly can. 1, 2, 3, go. Okay. Thank you. Now, on the count of 3, the 2 groups are going to go together. But hang on, because here's where it gets a little bit, you have to pay attention. If I raise my hand on your side, it means your side becomes quiet. So if I raise my hand over here, the om's quiet. If I raise my hand over here, the ruckus makers go quiet. You're going to begin together on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3, go. Okay, now, those of you who were chanting Om, did you begin only when these guys quieted down, or were you going the whole time? Could anybody hear them? Why? Too much noise over here. Now, this is why I love this demonstration. In 60 seconds, we have just seen the problem in our own minds. We are running around looking for this. I need peace, I need joy, I need Om in my life, metaphorically, whatever that means for you. This, in our own minds, is what is preventing us from having it. The goal is not, where do I find this? Because you could bring in another 10 or 15 or 20 or 50 people chanting Om, and it wouldn't make much of a difference, because this is so loud. And so what I want to talk about tonight is, how can we make this quiet down so that we can actually live and experience this? We are told that the key to everything is in our own mind. Man eva manushyanam karanam bandha-mokshayoh. The mind is the key. Whether you're going to live in bondage of your own desires, your own anger, your own ego, your own grudges, your own competition, your own misery, or you are going to be free. The only key is the mind. So let's take a few minutes and just look at, what can we do? What are some take-home things that we can do regardless of our religion, our culture, our career, our age, that we can do to bring that Om, that moksha, that peace in our lives? And the first and most important is to recognize that our thoughts are tickets. Most of us live as victims of the outside world. This happened, therefore I am miserable. Or in some cases, you happened, and therefore I am miserable. You hear this sometimes in the not quite yet spiritual environments of, I was so peaceful and then you came home. Or the flip side, no, I can't see that person because I'm too peaceful and it's gonna disturb it. No, I can't go there. Don't come too close to me because you'll disturb my peace. So we live in this illusion that somehow that which is happening outside is determining that which is happening inside. But actually it's the opposite. This is where in our tradition we're told over and over so many different varieties of jaise, beetar, vaise, bahar. As is the inside, so is the outside. Thoughts are tickets. They literally take us to a destination. If I get on a thought train of jealousy, if I get on a thought train of competition, if I get on a thought train of grudges, you can be pretty sure that the destination I'm going to end up at is misery, depression. If you walked into an airport or a train station or a bus station and you said, I would like one first-class ticket, what would they ask you? Where to? Where to? No one can sell you a ticket. You can't buy a ticket until you know where you want to go. But with our own minds, we're literally just jumping on any train, any bus, any plane that happens to blow across our consciousness, whether it came from within me, whether it's something the person next to me said, whether it's a sign I saw, whether it's anything that has happened in my life from the inside or from the outside. I jump on these thought trains. Someone says something negative to me. Free ticket to misery. Okay, yeah, I'll get on. And then we wonder a few hours later, why am I so depressed? Or we go home and we're fighting with our loved ones and they say, what happened to you? Like out of the blue, suddenly you're so cranky. What happened? And what we realize is we've jumped on that train. So the first and most important piece is realize, what am I thinking? We have the power to work with our thoughts. We have the power to, I don't like the word control, it sounds a little bit too much like a death grip, but we have the power to change our thoughts. But we need to use it, we need to exercise it. And we very, very rarely do. Most of us, we just say, oh yeah, you know, my mind is like that, my mind does that, I get very anxious, I get very depressed, I'm very negative, this happens. And if I sat before you today, and as I was giving you a lecture, suddenly my arms started, doing like this. And I said to you, well, don't worry about that, that's just my arms. Yeah, they do that sometimes. You'd think, this lady's nuts. I mean, nobody's arms just do that. You'd think either she's really sick and she needs a doctor, or she should really control her arms. Or if I started just bouncing up and down and I said, oh, don't worry, that's my legs. Yeah, they do that. We all understand very intuitively that we should have control of our arms and our legs, that they shouldn't just flail around and jump and bounce and do whatever they want, appropriate, inappropriate, beneficial, non-beneficial. But our thoughts, which literally are the things that guide our arms and our legs, of course our words, of course our actions, and therefore our lives, we're prepared to let just flail around under the thumb of every passing wind. And so this is the first important take-home, is every thought that you find yourself having, this is a ticket. And you need to stop and say to yourself, I don't care whose fault it is. I don't care how objectively right you are. That's not the issue. Being objectively right is not an inoculation against being depressed and miserable. There's a lot of people who are depressed and miserable, but who, at least in their own minds, are right. Being right is not the answer. The answer is being in peace. And so, as you're having a thought, literally ask yourself, is this a train I want to be on? Is this taking me where I want to go? And if not, jump off. Because the good news is there's lots of other trains and buses and cars and planes going in lots of other directions. Find a flower, find a tree, find a temple, find a child. Look at the stars. Listen to beautiful music. Hug a loved one. Homeless person. Do some yoga, meditate, whatever it may be. Jump on a different train. The next piece that I would like to share for us to take home is a new definition of success. Because most of us, our misery stems from modeling ourselves and mirroring ourselves on what we view as society's definition of success, which is all about money. It's all about your title. It's all about your career. It's all about your waistline. It's all about your skin color. It's all about what area of town you live in. It's these sorts of things, which of course we know don't bring happiness and don't bring peace, because there's lots and lots of people who we all know who have all those things, who are neither peaceful nor happy. So we know that's not what brings it to you. I know this from personal experience. It's why I feel so incredibly blessed to have spent the last 22 years with my guru on the banks of Ganga, learning where happiness and peace really come from. Because I spent the first 25 being indoctrinated into thinking that they came from all those external places. So if that's not what we're looking for, when we're looking for success, the definition of success I want to share with you is a definition given by a beautiful, beautiful saint from Rishikesh who's no longer in his body, but I've carried his teaching very deeply with me. And he says, success is how you respond to the inevitable times, inevitable, doesn't matter how much you make, doesn't matter what you look like, inevitable times that the universe does not act the way you think it should. Success is how you respond to the inevitable times when the universe does not act how you think it should. So if we make that our definition of success, what it means is that we have to get grounded, we have to get centered, we have to pull the reins of our life, as Puja Swamiji says, out of the hands of everyone around us, back inside, so that as the universe acts, as the people around me fulfill their own karmic package, some of it I'm going to like, some of it I don't like, some of it makes me happy, some of it doesn't make me happy. I have to pull the hook of my peace and my joy out of their words and actions in order for me to respond peacefully and joyfully to those times. The last piece of this that I want to share is, I guess, a teaching that you could call take care of your own heart. What I mean by that is, let's imagine that you have a new couch. Beautiful new white couch, cream-colored couch, one of those very nice light-colored couches. And your good friend comes over, and you go in the kitchen, and with great love, you make this friend a cup of tea or a cup of coffee. And you bring it out to them sitting on your new couch, and it's full of your love. And your friend, knowingly or unknowingly, on purpose or by accident, it doesn't matter, spills that cup of coffee or tea all over your brand new couch, and then proceeds to stand up and leave your house. Okay? What are you going to do? What's the first thing you're going to do? Anybody? Clean the couch. Yeah, clean the couch, right? First thing you're going to do, clean the couch. Because what you know is, this is a brand new couch. I've got to live with this couch. And the longer that the tea or coffee sits in it, the harder it's going to be to remove. I'm going to deal with that person later on. The first thing I'm going to do is clean my couch. Is there anybody in this room who's going to wait for that person to come back and clean it up? Anybody who's going to keep the stain there just so they can show others what that really bad friend did? Sort of the, victim hall of fame situation. Of course not. Of course not. Because we care about our couch. But in our lives, this is what we do. We go into our relationships, into situations, well-meaning, with love, with devotion. We do what we think are nice things for our loved ones, for our colleagues, for our neighbors, whoever it may be. And then they do something, knowingly, unknowingly, on purpose or by accident, that stains our heart. But instead of taking care of our heart, what so many of us do is we hold on to that stain because we're waiting for them to come back and fix it. Or because on some level that stain is a mark of what we've been through and what the universe has done to us. And so we hold it and we hold our pain. And as we move through the world and people say, why are you depressed? Why are you anxious? Why are you sad? Well, we have this stain to show. Well, this is what has happened to me. But where does that get us? A coffee or a tea or a chocolate stain on your couch is going to get ants and bugs very, very quickly. Your home is going to become infested. A, with a very bad smell, B, with bacteria, C, with all kinds of insects, depending on where you live. And this is what happens with our hearts. And so, when someone hurts us, it doesn't mean that we become doormats. It doesn't mean that we lie ourselves at people's feet and say, stomp all over me. But it means that when it happens, when one of those inevitable times happens, we're not going to try to grab that person back and force them to clean up their own mess. We're not going to shove their face in the bad smell a month later. See these ants? You created these ants. Now you better... It doesn't serve anything. We're the one who has to live in that house. We're the one who has to live with that heart. And so that's the most important key to being in joy, in peace, is ensuring that your heart gets cleaned as quickly and as fully as possible every time anything happens. And you are the one to clean it. And very last, one more occurred to me as I was saying that. Very last, an expansion of the self. What most of us try to do most of the time is push things that upset us away. So if you can envision for a moment a glass of water and a big rock falls in the water, what's going to happen? Water's going to splash. It's going to splash all over the place. If that glass is us, if that glass is our life, The rocks are the things that happen in the world, the things that hurt us. They come, they fall. Suddenly that peaceful stillness of me is splashing all over the place, a big storm. And what most of us try to do is push those rocks away. But if you take that same rock and you drop it in a bathtub, what happens? A little bit less, right? Still a little bit of a ripple, but it's less. If you drop that rock in the ocean, what happens? Right, almost nothing. So for us, instead of this absolutely futile fight against the rest of the world, whether it's our parents, our children, our in-laws, our employers, our employees, the traffic, the stock market, whatever it may be, instead of trying to fight off those rocks, if we can expand ourselves from being the glass to being the ocean. And that's the truth of who you are. This isn't a magic trick I'm talking about. The teachings that our sages and our saints and our rishis have given us about being divine, being full, being infinite, that is the teaching. You are the ocean. You're not the glass. That's the false self. That's the myth. That's this body. The soul, the spirit, consciousness, whatever word we use for it, that's ocean. Thich Nhat Hanh, one of the most beautiful Buddhist sages, said, enlightenment is when the wave realizes it's the ocean. So when we realize that we're not the glass, but we're the ocean, then whether enlightenment or no enlightenment, we're able to live in that place of light. That whatever falls onto us, whatever comes, we no longer need to push it away because there's enough space in us for that rock to fall. And we are still here. And when we're grounded and anchored in that is the place of peace. And then all of this ruckus automatically dissipates because we're so grounded over here that this has no place to land. There's no one inside connecting to this. So if you take home some of those and bring them into your life, the chaos will always be there. The outer chaos will always be there. Your families, your colleagues, the stock market, the traffic, it's always going to be there. But you will stay. You will stay peaceful in the center of that chaos.